Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 kill team video. Today I'm going to go over the Legionary kill team for Chaos Space Marines. Before we get into things, I just want to thank Games Workshop for giving these to me for free to review. And as always, I aim to be constructive, constructively critical, impartial and honest. And please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Just let me know what you think of this video and everything as a whole, because this is my new take on reviewing kill teams, where I'm splitting them into individual videos instead of just putting them to one big review. So let me know how you feel about that. But I'll be talking about the new Chaos kill team and going through them in depth. But first, I'll start off with the narrative. So obviously, the Chaos Space Marines are heretical renegades who turned on the Emperor about 10,000 years ago. Today, last Tuesday. But they've been languishing in the Eye of Terror, lamenting the Emperor and his servants. And with Kill Team Nachmund, they're now out trying to take over the Nachmund Gauntlet and claim it in the name of Chaos to prevent the Imperial forces from reinforcing the other side of the galaxy. They're full of recently converted renegades to long veterans who fought in the Horus Heresy, to demonic beasts who have sacrificed what little humanity they had left for demonic power. The only question will be how you control these ragtag chaotic warriors as a single force. So for the kill team as a whole, I will go over the Tac Ops first, because I think, well, the front of the book pretty much, but they give a good insight to the character of the kill team and how they play. So for faction Tac Op 1, you have Sacrilegious Mutilation. You reveal the first time an enemy operative is incapacitated. Each time an enemy operative is incapacitated before it's removed in the kill zone, place one of your enemy corpse tokens underneath it as close as possible to the center of its base. The second time a friendly operative performs the Defiled for the Dark Gods action, you score 1 VP, and the fourth time you do it, you get another VP. So you can Defiled for the Dark Gods for 1 AP, while within black of one of your enemy corpse tokens, while not within white of the enemy. Remove that enemy corpse token from the kill zone. So it's interesting. It's something you reveal at any point, but you kind of probably use this against kill teams with lots of operatives, because it's a struggle against elite kill teams. But depending where you kill, especially against elite kill teams, it kind of forces where you go. So you have to be careful how you use this, because your opponent can also camp them to prevent you claiming them. But it's not bad Tac Op. So you have Dark Desecration, which is faction Tac Op 2 that you have to reveal during the first turning point. You select one terrain feature that includes any part with heavy. If 2 or more enemy operatives are incapacitated while within black of that terrain feature, you score 1 VP. If you achieve the first condition and at the end of the battle a total APL of friendly operatives within black of the terrain feature is greater than that of enemy operatives, you gain another VP. So it's kind of a take on a twist on the security trait, where you need to pick something close to your opponent, or one where you feel they're going to be close to, kill them, and then control it. So once again, it kind of pairs well with the Tac Ops they can take normally. So it's not bad, it's just situational. Then you have Savage Butcher, which is faction Tac Op 3, and I think it's the worst one. So you can reveal this in any turning point. Select one friendly operative. If 2 or more enemy operatives are incapacitated in combat by that friendly operative, you score 1 VP. If you do 3 or more by that operative, you get another VP. And the problem is, the way combat works, unless you're literally running into people, one hit killing them, and not getting shot back in return fire, you're usually heavily wounded or dead after you've killed the second operative. So, and the healing in the book is limited. So I'm not a fan of Savage Butcher. I feel it's a trap, even if you're playing Seek and Destroy, because your guys have 12 wounds, but because it doesn't really matter too much because of how attacking works in combat, it's not something I can recommend. So for the Legionary kill team, it has the archetype of security and Seek and Destroy, which is a great combination pretty much. So you have 2 leaders to pick from: a Chosen, who can have a plasma pistol, bolt pistol, and a Demon Blade, or an Aspiring Champion who can have a plasma pistol or bolt pistol, and then like some more power weapons. But you probably go for the Legionary Chosen. Then you've got 5 normal Legionaries, where you've got a Warrior, which can either have a bolt gun or pistol and chainsword, a Gunner, who can have a Flamer, Melter, or Plasma. Then you have a Heavy Gunner, who can have a Heavy Bolter, Missile Launcher, or Reaper Chain Cannon. You have an Icon Bearer, who can either have bolt gun or bolt pistol and chainsword. Then you have Anointed Butcher, Balefire Acolyte, and Shrive Tunnel. and Shrive Talon. But other than your warrior operatives, you can only include each operative once, but it's sad that it's only 5, because I think a leader and 6 operatives would have been much better. Then you have a Mark of Chaos, which is very interesting. So you can either pick Khorne, Nurgle / Tzeentch or Undivided. But the notable thing is you're limited as to what you can take on your roster. Because if you have Khorne units, you cannot have any Slaanesh units on your roster and vice versa. And if you have any Nurgle, you cannot have any Tzeentch and vice versa. And the key thing here, it's really weird it's locked into your roster because it limits what you can do with this kill team, which is very, very a lot of depth. And I think the best combination is Khorne and Tzeentch, which we'll see in a minute. But it's a shame. I don't mind that you couldn't have done it on the battlefield, but the fact that it's locked out from your roster is very limiting. So for your abilities, you've got Chaos Blessings. So Khorne, if each time you fight in combat, if you do not retain any critical hits, you can strike one of your normal dice as if it's a crit. Nurgle lets you, when you're being shot at, you can retain a normal save as a critical save. Slaanesh gives you 1 black of movement. Tzeentch lets you, for one of your dice, you can retain on a 5-up as a crit, which is amazing. And Undivided, while you're attacking within red of an operative, whether it be shooting or melee, you can reroll one of your attack dice. All really good, but I think Tzeentch is the best. Then Favoured of the Dark Gods, once per turning point during the strategic ploy phase, when you're revealing strategic ploys, you can use any of the strategic ploys that mention one of your Marks of Chaos for free for those units. So if you have a Khorne unit, you can use a Khorne trait or a Tzeentch trait, an example, which is amazingly strong. Then you've got Psychic Powers. So it's just an action to do. And if you somehow have the ability to cast twice, on a 1 to 2, you suffer 3 mortal wounds, and a 3-up, you do another power. So you have Fire Blast, which is unlimited range, 4 dice, 3-up, 3/4, no cover blast with splash 1. Pretty decent. Then you've got Malign Influence, which is it's like 1 friendly operative visible to this operative. Till the end of the turning point, weapons it is equipped with gain lethal 5-up, no cover, and brutal, which is amazing because it works for melee and all ranged units. So an amazing buff power. Then Life Siphon, which is 5 dice, 3-up, 3/3, Siphon Life Force. So each time you make a successful shooting attack with this weapon, if you resolve 2 or more attack dice, you can select 1 friendly Legionary within red, and they regain D3 mortal wounds. So it's kind of an unlimited range, but can heal. And with 5 dice, you should generally be getting 2 through. So it's not bad, but I think Malign Influence is actually the best here. Then you have your strategic ploys. So you've got Hateful Assault, where you can perform 2 fight actions if you don't shoot. Malicious Volleys, where you can do 2 shoot actions with a bolt weapon if you don't fight. Cough, the heavy bolter. Then you've got Blood for the Blood God. So each time a friendly Khorne operative fights in combat, if it performed a charge action, the first time it strikes, inflict 1 additional damage. And when you can see what it combines with, like one of your guys, you can effectively one-shot most operatives in the game. Then you've got Perpetual Aggression for Khorne. So each time a friendly Khorne operative fights in combat, or after a friendly Khorne operative fight in combat, so if you kill someone, if it is not within engagement range of an enemy operative, you can make a normal move action that can only move up to blue, and it can move within engagement range of enemy operatives, but it must finish within engagement range of the closest visible enemy operative, so you can kind of chain charge, like consolidate. Then you've got Mutagenic Flesh for Nurgle. Subtract 1 from the damage inflicted from that attack dice to a minimum of 2. Then you've got Implacable for Nurgle. So you're not treated as being injured. You ignore negative modifiers to your APL, and you ignore worsening your ballistic skill when overwatching, which is all really solid, but Tzeentch just outperforms it. Then you've got Graceful Killers, where you add 1 damage to your critical characteristic of your melee weapons, so only if you do a crit. Delicious Agony, so each time you fight in combat with your Slaanesh, in the resolve successful hit step, when you resolve your first successful hit, if your opponent is injured, you can resolve 2 successful hits instead of 1, which is kind of more of a win more thing. Then you've got Tzeentch, which is protected by Fate. If you retain any critical attack saves when being shot at, you can retain one of your failed saves to be retained as a successful normal save. And then you've got a really cool one from Tzeentch. Till the end of your turning point, all friendly Tzeentch operatives have a 4-up invuln. That's probably what you're going to be popping, because generally you're going to put Tzeentch on all your range operatives, and then Khorne on all your melee. So all your ranged operatives are going to have a 4-up invuln, and then your melee stuff is doing +1 damage the first time they fight when they charge. Then for tactical ploys, you've got Veteran of the Long War. Each time you fight in combat or makes a shooting attack, if the target didn't lose any wounds, you can repeat that attack. You've got Unending Bloodshed. So when a Khorne operative is incapacitated in combat by an enemy operative, you can do a free strike. And if, well, you roll a dice, and if it hits, you can do a successful strike. So you can effectively kill anyone who charges you, which is really nice for Khorne. Then you've got mutability and change. So this needs a clarification on wording, and I've sent an FAQ, because it says users tactical ploy during a friendly siege operative's activation, add one to that APL. So is this done before you've activated your operative? As in, because there's no defined step, so can you choose the order? So you go, I'm selecting this operative to activate. Before it activates, I'm going to pop mutability and change, so now it gets +1 APL, or you just +1 APL for the activation in terms of contesting and controlling objectives. So it needs an FAQ there. Then you've got Malignant Aura for Nurgle. Until the end of the turning point, one enemy operative is within blue. You subtract 1 for their defense, which is good. But if you're that close anyway, you've probably been charged. Then you've got Sickening Captivation for Slaanesh, which is pretty useful. Select a visible enemy operative within blue of your Slaanesh. Subtract 1 from their APL. Problem is, you know, getting that close, but I like it. It's not bad, but I think Khorne does it better. So first you have a Legionary Warrior, and as for all the kill team, you're 3 white, 3 up save, 12 wounds, APL 3, defense 3. You can either have Bolt Pistol, which is 4 attacks, 3/4 range red, and a Chainsword, which is 5 attacks, 3 up, 4/5. Or you can have your Bolt Gun and Fists, and your Bolt Gun is 4 attacks, 3/4, and then your Fists are 4 attacks, 3/4. So I think you actually go with the Bolt Gun and Fists, just because while the Chainsword is great, you're probably going to lose in trades, and having more shooting power, especially if you're popping like shoot twice, is very useful. Then you've got your Legionary Gunner, which can either have a Flamer, Melter, or Plasma. Generally, you're probably taking the Plasma all the time. Melter has its usage, but it depends on the opponent. But you always take this Gunner. Then you've got your Heavy Gunner, and I had a feeling the Reaper Chain Cannon wouldn't be good because it's the same weapon as the Warp Coven one, but the Warp Coven one has AP1, whereas this one doesn't. And while you can get an equipment point to basically move and fire, Heavy Bolt is just the standout here. It's 5 attack dice. It's got piercing, so 50% chance to roll a crit. If you're Zinch, remember you're triggering on a 5 up, and you can fire twice, so you can move, shoot, and you'll probably have a 4 up in one as well. So the Heavy Bolter just wins out there. It's the most efficient option, and I would always recommend the Heavy Bolter. The Legionary Anointed is weird. So it's got a Bolt Pistol and the Demonic Claw, which is 5 attacks, 3 up, 4/5 with Rending. So it has Unleashed the Demon. So once per battle, when it's activated, you can let the demon take control because you are possessed. But if you do, you cannot turn it off. So you cannot perform Overwatch, pick up, or shoot mission actions. And each time you lose a wound on a 5 up, you don't. Your claws gain the Ceaseless and Lethal 5 up special rules, and you can perform 2 fight actions during the activation. So it's not bad. It's just, if you're like, there's a mission where you're not doing any mission actions, it's probably pretty good to take the Anointed, but it's just a situational guy. But if you take him, you're literally like, I activate, I unleash the demon, now I run forwards. Then you have the Legionary Butcher, which you always make Khorne. So it has a Bolt Pistol and the double-handed Chain Axe, which is 4 dice, hitting on 4s, 5/7, Vicious Blow with Reap 2. So he has Devastating Onslaught. Each time this operative fights in combat, enemy operatives within engagement range cannot provide combat support, which is huge. For the purposes of dash, fall back, and normal move actions, enemy operatives would perform. Treat the distance of this operative's engagement range as white instead of black, so he effectively blocks more movement. And then Vicious Blows. So each time this operative fights in combat, if this operative is the attacker, so if you have priority, you gain the Caesar special rule, and also if you perform the charge action, you gain the Relentless special rule for that combat. So you charge in with Relentless. With 4 dice, you should roll a crit, and if you're Khorne, you're doing 8 damage with your first strike, which will be a crit, and you're effectively one-shotting most miniatures operatives in the game. So always make this guy Khorne, and it's just an amazing thing, even if you just run up concealed because of the bubble of how it denies with its engagement range bubble. So really useful operative. Then you've got the Shrive Talon, who is basically a Night Lord. So there's Bolt Pistol and Flensing Blade, which are 5 dice, hitting on 3s, 3/5 with lethal 5 up. So his Vicious Reflexes. Each time this operative fights in combat and the resolve successful hit step of that combat, if you're the defender, then you start instead of the attacker when resolving successful hits. And notably, you don't have to parry first. Horrifying Dismemberment. Each time you fight in combat, if it incapacitates an enemy operative, select one enemy operative in blue, subtract one from the APL, which is some nice Night Lord action. Then you've got your unique actions. So for Grizzly Mark is 2 AP. So once per game, you place a Grizzly Mark token within black of this operative, and it cannot be done while in engagement range. Each time an enemy operative would perform a mission action or the pickup action, and it's within blue of that token, one additional action point must be subtracted to perform that action. When determining a control for an objective marker, if you're within blue of that, if the Grizzly token is within blue, then enemy operatives total APL has been 1 less. Note it's not a modifier. So you either use it to mess up mission actions and stuff like where you've got fixed points that need to spend mission actions, and it's doubly useful in there because even if you put on the objective, not only do your opponent count as minus 1 APL net for controlling that objective, they are also have to spend an additional AP to do mission actions, and it just exists forever. Your opponent can't remove it, and I think that's why I would probably always take your Shrive Talon. Just so useful for disrupting, especially if it's like the center point. Like if you're playing like Domination, you pop that on the center point, your opponent's like, uh-oh. Like it's really, he's so good, I think, and I think you always take him, whereas the Legionary Anointed probably isn't as useful compared to the Shrive Talon. Then you've got the Icon Bearer, who basically just has the icon. So it counts as 1 APL higher for holding objectives, and it's not a modifier. Lost his special rules from the Compendium, but, 4 APL on an objective is huge. And can either have a bolt pistol and chainsword or bolt gun. But I'm not sure where you'd go here. Probably chainsword, because it's going to be on points contesting. Yeah. Then you've got your Balefire Acolyte, who is your Psyker. So as a bolt pistol, which is tainted, so it's balanced. And then a Fell Dagger, which is 5 attacks, 3/4, hit on 3's demonic energies. So demonic energies, each time you fight in combat, each time you retain a critical hit, the target suffers 2 mortal wounds. So you effectively have mortal wounds 2. And you cannot have the Khorne keyword, because obviously Khorne has no Psychers. So for your unique actions, manifest psychic powers, 1 AP, you can manifest psychic powers when not within engagement range. And, already covered the psychic powers, you always take this guy. Then you have your Legionary Chosen, Meme Man, the happiest Chaos Space Marine to ever exist, and crusade in the name of Horus. So he has a Plasma Pistol or a Tainted Bolt Pistol. You always go with the Plasma Pistol. And then the Demon Blade, which is 5 attacks, 2 up, 4/7, lethal 5 up. So he has a Demonic Aura. So each time an enemy operative starts a fallback action while in engagement range, they minus 2 white from their movement. So it really limits what they can do. And then Soul Feast. Each time in this operative fights in combat, if you resolve any hits that inflict critical damage, well, if any of their strikes inflict critical damage, the operative regains 2 lost wounds. So you can heal while you kill. Oh, yeah, so you can only use Favored of the Dark Gods while he's on the table. So you need to keep him alive to get the free stratagem based on your Chaos God. So remember, desperately keep this alive. Then you've got your Aspiring Champion, who the only real benefit is his Plasma Pistol hits on 2s, and also they both have 13 wounds. He can have Tainted Chainsword, Power Weapon, Power Maul, or Power Fist. So the Tainted Chainsword has Parry Hook. Each time a friendly operative fights in combat with this weapon, in the resolve successful hit step, each time you parry with a normal hit, you can select one of your opponent's critical hits to be discarded instead. And then in the Eye of the Gods, once per turning point, when this operative incapacitates an enemy operative, you can add 1 to this operative's APL. So that's actually permanent, I think. No, it's for the next turn. So, it's better as a killy person, but I think the demonic weapon is just better. It's weird, it's not one model. Feels very weird, but I think you just go with the General Legionnaire because it's better. 5/7 all the time. Yeah, just always go there. Then we come to the equipment. So you've got Aggression Stimulants, which can only be taken once. Each time this operative fights in combat, if this operative form or charge action, you can reroll one of your attack dice, which actually isn't that useful considering most of your named specialists do that anyway, or better. Then you've got Frag Grenades, which are fine. 4 attacks, 3 up, 2/3. Always take this when you're outnumbered by hordes. Crack Grenades are decent as well because they're AP1 indirect and are free equipment points. Warded Armor changes operative save characteristic to 2 up for the battle, but if the operative inflicts any damage on this operative, its save characteristic changes back to 3 for the rest of the battle. So I'm not a fan of this, because especially if you've got stuff pumping up 5 dice, you just need 1 to go through, and then that 2 up save is useless. Then you've got suspension system, which you always take. You ignore the heavy rule trait. It said you can move up to 3 white, but you cannot move over that. And, but only in this. So then you've got the suspension system, which you always take for your heavier specialists. So you change the heavy rule differently. Instead, you cannot move more than 3 white in the same activation which you perform a shoot action with any of those ranged weapons. So, but you put this on the heavy bolter, you pop, I'm going to double shoot, so it moves, shoots. So, yeah. Malign Scripture, once per battle for your Psyker, it can perform 2 Psych powers. Then you've got Tainted Rounds, you can only select once. Select a bolt gun or bolt pistol, and add 1 both to its damage characteristics. So you can take a normal guy, make their bolt gun 4/5, or make someone's bolt pistol 4/5. So it's actually good if you're taking a normal bolter. Then Grizzly Trophy for 3 equipment points, only once, 1 per operative. While this operative is visible and within blue of enemy operatives, subtract 1 from the attack's characteristic of ranged and melee weapons that enemy operative is equipped with. So I think you either put this in your leader or the axe guy, because that's going to cause the most disruption. You charge like multiple people or 1, and then you're within blue of other people, and then they have to move away. Very useful. Then you've got your Malefic Blade, which is 2 equipment points, which is 5 dice, hitting on 3 is 3/5. So it's just fun. Then, as usual, you've got your whole selection of narrative rules from like battle honors, rare equipment, stratagems, all that kind of stuff for running these kill teams narratively. That is your decision for Spec Op campaign. So a lot of useful stuff there. So overall, this kill team's pretty balanced. It's got a lot of depth, and it's easy to get quite overwhelmed at first. You really need to look at this kill team, and it has the most important roster selection. I think the only other kill team that comes close is Warp Coven, but you really need to choose how you build this kill team. And as I said, you're probably going to go with Khorne and Tzeentch because they're just the best 2. Really sad you can't mix and match on the roster. But other than that, it's a nice way to do elite kill teams. The notable thing is these don't work like Space Marines or Custodies. So while they're injured, they are still injured. And it's weird. I think they would have been much better if there were a leader and 6 operatives. The fact they're a leader and 5 really limits them. They have a ton of special rules, and they're really thematic and balanced. I don't know. Like, I need to play them, but I feel they obviously they can't beat Pathfinders. Pathfinders are broken. They can't beat Harlequins because Harlequins are too good. I think they will struggle against Novitiates just because they're 10 operatives, and they might be able to beat Corsairs, but they go really interestingly into Warp Coven. I'm just not sure because they have the same pitfalls of an elite kill team. The moment they lose 1 operative, it's a huge blow. And it's very difficult for them to come back from that. But they do get a lot of free rules. But from my pros and cons, once again, it's a very thematic kill team. It has all the rules for playing as a proper Chaos Warband. The mark system is really good and rewards you for actually speccing into different marks. Each one is very flavorful towards that Chaos God. And yeah, the miniatures are great. Obviously, you've got the meme head, but the upgrade kit is nice, and you've already got a good backbone from that updated Chaos Space Marine kit. And yeah, it's just a fun thematic warband to play. For the downside, as I said, I really would have liked this to be an operative, well, a leader, and then 6 operatives, just for the extra body, because when you're playing the compendium can take 3 Chaos Space Marines and like 7 cultists, so you have more room to compete and more redeploy stuff. There's very minimal APL modification, even though you're all free APL. And you have no way to forward deploy, so you struggle in a lot of missions against kill teams that can. And yeah, they just kind of still suffer from the pitfalls of being very well balanced and an elite kill team. I think they are I don't know. I think Warp Coven are still better, but that's because you can take 3 Psykers, which is probably an overthought on like the devs' part. But I don't know, you get a lot of utility here just with like, you've got the double firing heavy bolter, then you've got some really nice specialists. But it's something I need to play more before I can give a solid idea. It's just on paper, they are better after I've looked at them more, but I need more practice with them. And yeah, the biggest downside I actually think is you can't mix and match marks on the roster. I would have been fine that you can't do it on your kill team, but locking you out of roster customization for a kill team that is so deep on roster customization It's just a shame. Because if you could go, okay, I'm actually going to put Nurgle and Slaanesh stuff on here, because then depending on my opponent, I may want to bring Nurgle or Slaanesh instead of like Khorne or Tzeentch. And the fact you can't do that is really sad, because it's the only warband kill team that gets punished on the roster. And I think the closest one is like Tyranids, because they can take so many stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Please remember to like and subscribe, as well as comment as what you thought of this video. As I said, this is my new way at doing kill team reviews, and if people like it, I may continue doing it forward, as well as going over kill teams I haven't covered in the past. And if you're interested in buying what I've been talking about today, you can check out my affiliate link in the episode description below to Element Games. It'll net you about a 20% discount, while being at no additional cost to yourself and helping to support myself and the channel. So feel free, if you're in the UK and I think Europe, if you want to check it out for a nice discount, well, yeah, helping to support me. But yeah, let me know what you thought of this. I really like the Chaos Space Marine Legionnaire kill team. I think it has flaws, but I want to test it out and see how it does on the field. So I'll hopefully have a battle report up soon, and then I'll get them paid, because I already bought a Chaos Space Marine team, because I think they're a really good way to get into the game. But yeah, they kind of just suffered from being an elite kill team that's too balanced, which is weird, because they're good but balanced. It's just a problem with stuff like Pathfinders and kill team, Pathfinders and Harlequins. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me. I've done like 3 videos. So oh yeah, obviously if you haven't checked them out, I've done a video on Corsairs, and obviously as the Nachmund box as a whole. So check those out if you want. And yeah, I think I'm gonna go away, paint and build some more stuff. So remember, even while you've lost all hope, pillaging and ruining real space in the name of the Chaos Gods, remember there's always hope that you could roll a crit.